Welcome back to Hoover, Alabama. Laura Rutledge out, Dory Noka in. Booger is back as well. Let's talk balls.
Start getting your mind right. It's a wounded animal. And when you back a wounded animal in the corner, you got to fight.
Watch me, watch me, watch me, do this. Watch me, watch me, watch me, do this.
Play together on every single snap. Complementary football. I want you to go out and play with instincts and just put it all on the line. I got you.
And, of course, head coach Butch Jones, he will be on the set with us momentarily. He will be at the podium after that. You look at Tennessee, of course, under Butch Jones, back-to-back 9-win seasons, but the shoes to fill have never been bigger. Talking about a guy who started 3+ seasons at the quarterback position. Somehow, some way, the Vols have to replace Josh Dobbs.
I don't think you ever will replace a guy like Josh Dobbs, but it also leads to another era, another exciting time.
It's all about being an execution-based offense, and the great thing with our offense is all geared towards the strength of the quarterback.
It's a time right now where there's a quarterback battle and those type of things going on to determine, who will be that next guy.
I think whoever ends up calling the shots for us is going to be a very talented player, and they're going to put us in situations to win.
It's a long season, and as long as you're willing to put one foot in front of the other, come to work each and every day, trust what we're giving you, trust the plan, and do all that you can to go out and execute it. Ultimately, at some point, if you're striving for all of that perfection, you'll catch a little excellence as we go. You just got to keep fighting.
1, 2, bam.
As we welcome you back into Hoover, Dory Noka, Greg McElroy, Booger McFarland, and Jordan Rogers. This is a team that's been a popular pick to win the East. They were the media pick to win the East a year ago. They were Booger and Marcus's pick to win the East as well 2 years ago. What should expectations be for Tennessee?
They should not be as high this year as they've been in years past. And it's not to say that they don't have the talent. They just don't have the known pieces, and I'm not 100% convinced of the depth. This is a line of scrimmage league, and it's all about interior offensive line play and defensive tackles. And if you don't play well at those positions, you're going to have a very difficult time generating a consistent run game. Now, Tennessee's been able to get by with some explosive plays in the run game because Josh Dobbs was electric with the ball in his hands. He's now gone. You might have to resort to a little bit more prototypical quarterback, which is going to put more of an emphasis on the run game and on the interior offensive line. They have to get better there. But I think a very realistic expectation for this team is around 8-4. A lot of pieces lost, a lot of newcomers coming in that did play significant minutes, but have not yet been thrust into a full-time starting role. So I'm actually borderline optimistic. For as much as they lost 8-4, with the potential to win a 9th game in the bowl game, it's pretty solid.
Well, it sounds good, but we talk a lot about the SEC East as being a weaker division in the SEC. And if you're Tennessee, you want to win the East. They haven't done that, okay? People in Knoxville expect SEC East championships. They want a team to play for the East. They had 17 starters back last year and couldn't get it done. A lot of those pieces are gone. So now, what are they going to do on defense? No Barnett, no Vereen. Who's going to step up? You're right. There are a lot of pieces that are unknown. But what type of team are you going to be? Butch Jones always talks about the different slogans and champions of life and all these different things. But when are you going to line up and whoop somebody? That's why the people in Knoxville are frustrated. They're okay with the 9 wins, but they want you to get to Atlanta. This team needs to get to Atlanta to fulfill the prophecy that Butch Jones promised, which is playing for an SEC championship.
I feel like that's the storyline every year. It wasn't last year the year that was supposed to be, with an East that was more down than it's going to be this year. You got Florida on the rise, Georgia on the rise. It's going to be hard. And I talked earlier, the identity. Where is their identity? I think they're going to be okay on offense. I like John Kelly. I think Dormady, who's going to win. I think Dormady will be the guy moving forward. I think he's going to be solid for them, as we talked earlier. My problem's on the defense. And to Greg's point, the players that got experience last year because of the injuries are going to be the ones that are dependent on this year to replace the headlining guys. Where's the depth behind them? What happens if you get a few more injuries again early this year, and once again implementing a defensive scheme that is calculus? Shoop's scheme is, in order to be successful, is very intricate, and you just don't have the experience and the talent there to execute. I think it's going to be a while before they catch their rhythm on defense, especially, and they're going to need it.
You're not going to make big plays in this league, and you're not going to make big steps forward until you stop the run. And last year's effort defensively against the run was just flat out embarrassing at times. The fact that they gave up, seriously, the fact they gave up 90 runs of 10 or more yards. By the way, that's one of the most in the SEC. That is ridiculous. Tennessee is talented enough, and they had, by the way, a terrific defensive lineman, Garrett Barnett. Should never happen. They have to take steps forward in that regard, and Bob Shoop's got to get it fixed, but I believe he will. He's got a track record of being able to do so.
But you've got to like, as a quarterback, you've got to like where they are up front, right? 111 starts coming back on the offensive line, plus they add the #1 player in the country, according to ESPN, and Trey Smith. So that's got to be a good place. I know they lose 3 of their top 4 rushers, but there's still talent there. You mentioned John Kelly. What do you expect offensively?
Well, I think they're going to be efficient, and I think they have to be. You heard Butch talk about execution. They're going to have to execute within the scheme of the offense. I think Dormady is the guy to do that. What I liked about him in the spring game, aside from the completions, his ability to manipulate the ball, throw with trajectory at times, velocity at other times. It's hard to evaluate in a spring game, but if there was anything to take from that, it's a little bit of moxie for delivering the football.
What they want is what Florida has had each of the last 2 seasons. That is the title of the SEC East champions and that trip to Atlanta to play for an SEC East title. Ryan McGee on the Gators.